I'm Kat Connors-Longo. I'm a wellness instructor in the oncology department at the Ridley-Tree Cancer Center with Sansum. I'm here with you today to share some yoga-based movements that help with discomfort in your feet. I teach here in the multi-purpose room on Monday afternoons with Tai Chi yoga that relieves stress and gentle yoga, and then Tuesday morning active stretching. In those classes, I've had students repeatedly ask for movements that help with their feet and the discomfort they're feeling from neuropathy. And I've got some really good feedback from these students. So the things that you'll need to practice here today is if you like to sit on the floor, perhaps the mat or on your carpet, a bolster if you like to sit up on a bolster, a blanket, and a chair. Thanks for being here with me. I'm going to move to the chair. All right, so finding a comfortable seat. And if you need a moment to get a chair, please put this on pause, grab your chair and come on back and start the recording over again. All right, here we are, seated on a chair. Our sit bones are rooted and our feet are about hip width apart or comfortably placed. Let's wake up our toes. So scrunch your toes as if you're trying to grab the floor and then flex your toes. Grab your toes or scrunch your toes and then wiggle your, yeah. My hands are mirroring my toes. 4 or 5 times. There you go. Beautiful job. And then the next action, front to back. Up onto your toes and back to your heels. Up onto your toes, back onto your heels. I say 5 or 6 times, but you're determining how many movements by the sensation that is happening in your body. All right, front to back. And now let's rock right to left. We're going to put all these movements together. So inner to outer. You can see my knees are swaying. Don't get seasick here, and make sure that you're seated in a place that you feel very connected, rooted, and grounded. Okay, take a deep breath. Let's patter it out. Patter, patter, patter. Placing your feet back and down. We'll add all of those motions together, one leg at a time. I'm going to start with my right leg. You can choose if you'd like to start with right or left. Let's come high up onto the toes. Go to the outer edge of the foot, back of the heel, inner edge of the foot, back to your toes. Move at your own pace. Feel for all of the edges and about 5 or 6 times. Feel free to put on some fun music while you do this. Or you might find yourself singing to yourself. Let's take one more. Rolling out. Pausing, double check. I know, of course we're breathing, right? But feel your inhale, your exhale. And now move to the inner foot, heel, and outer. So we reversed the circle. The movement is happening at the hips, the ankles, and the feet, although you do see your knee going in a circle. I think that's about 6. Pause. Feel free to look down at your feet. Notice if you feel a difference or see a difference. I can feel the circulation is starting to change. Patter, patter, patter. Moving to the other leg. So for me, that's the left. Coming up onto your toes. Going to the outer edge of the foot, the back of the heel, the inner edge of the foot. And 5 or 6 times. That's it. And pausing, switching it up the other direction. Feeling the love, falling in love with our feet. Being thankful that they help us walk around town, at the beach, in our homes. And pausing, patter, patter, patter. Now from here, you could choose to stay in the chair or move to the floor. So that's where you might want to grab your bolster to sit on or a blanket to sit on. I'm going to continue to sit in the chair because I've had some sensitivity happening in my left hip. Bringing my right foot up, you cross the foot over. I'm having my right hand hold my right ankle and my left hand takes a hold of my left foot. And now we're going to use our hand to help our foot take circles, and about 5 or 6 times. And it might feel nice. Our own healing touch, self-care, self-massage. You might find that you're rocking a bit in your sit bones and might feel like you're rowing a boat. Let's pause and switch the circles the other way. I felt a few adjustments in my ankles. You might feel that also. Notice if you're holding your breath in or holding your breath out. Good job. Let's give our shins a bit of a squeeze. It's called petrissage, where your fingers and your thumbs come together. And you're just like you're kneading dough. I've never made bread, but I have made cookies. All right, and we're gonna give our toes a little bit of ankles and our foot. So my hands are on the, whether you put your thumbs on the top and you give your foot a bit of a squeeze, take one hand across the heel. You can take your fingers across the arch of the foot, pause just below the ball of the foot or the mound of the foot. Maybe give each toe a little bit of a rub, 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 rub-a-dub-dub. That's it. And now we are going to imagine that we're at the spa or soaking in a hot tub. And we're going to work with our feet. So can you see the sole of my foot? Okay. We're going to take our fingers and take our toes back and forth. So you might find that this is a little bit easier to be on the floor at this point. I'm going to go back and forth a few times. So that's what it would look like in the seat, in the chair. If you were to go to the floor, I might find that I'm on one hip and I'm taking the toes and going back and forth like this. Okay. So now that we've gone back and forth, we're going to go side, side to side, side to side, and front to back. So it's like our toes are doing the twist. And then I have all these songs pop in my head. Yeah, twisting, right? That song, Twist Like We did last summer. Take your time, be kind and compassionate and loving to your toes. So you can see wiggling back and forth like this. All right, then we're going to take our fingers and our toes and wiggle them together. Now you can do the same hand and foot and go in from the top, or you can go across and go in from the bottom, and that's what I prefer to do. So I'm going to move back into the chair. So you're either in the chair or on the floor. My foot's across, and I like to start with my pinky toe and slide my fingers between the toes. I get just the tops of my toes and my fingers together. Some folks are able to wiggle the webbing of their fingers and their toes together. All right. You might have some discomfort here in the joints. Might feel a little bit like a stagnant energy. So if that's the case, stay here, breathe, take your breath up into your neck and shoulders, wherever you might feel like you're holding. And then the next step is to, just like we did on the floor, we curled our toes and we flexed our toes. Can you see? Hopefully I won't get you dizzy, but I'm changing angles so you can, there you go. Now you can see me curling my toes back and forth. So that's back and forth. Pausing, breathing. Feel free to stop at any time. And now we're gonna do circles. I'm circling my toes. My foot is held steady. 5 or 6 circles in each direction. A teacher named Lavelle was the woman that taught me this. And it took me a second. It's like, what? I'm gonna touch my toes? Are you joking? But here we are. And then, freedom, freedom from my toes. Go ahead and place your toes back down. I don't know if you can see that, but it definitely looks, and take time to look at your toes. For me, I can see a difference in the 2 feet and feel a difference in the circulations. So let's, however you want, take time to pat it out, pat, pat, pat. And keep your breath happening. The other leg, so for me, that's my left. All right, let's see. I think we did a bit of massage, right? So left hand on left shin, right hand at the bottom of the foot, holding my ankle steady and using my right hand to swirl my left foot in a few circles. But the warmth of my hand feels good. My foot's appreciating the attention. And then swap it up on the other direction. Just keep checking in on your breath if it gets fast or slow, or if you find yourself holding your breath in or out. All right, good job. How about if we, that petrissage action along our shins? Yeah. Maybe some of you have made breath across the ankle. And then whether you want your fingers on the bottom of your foot or your thumbs, giving a bit of that action, little petrissage. I switched, now my fingers on top and my thumbs are on the bottom. And of course the ankle, giving it a bit of squeeze. And then you could take your thumbs through the arch of your foot. Yeah. Good job. And maybe thumbs along, see the mound of the foot here. And then it's called a squeeze and soak, or a bit of a pinch of each toe. A little rub-a-dub-dub here. Feeling the love. That's it. All right, and then if you like, you can stay in the chair or go to the floor. And again, some folks like to do same hand, same foot, and then you would take your fingers through from the top. Or I like to explore opposite hand, opposite foot. So my right pinky finger is going to my pinky toe. And you might find, literally the first time I did this, I could barely stay for a breath or two. My left foot is tighter than my right, so I am feeling a bit of that stagnant energy in these first knuckles of my toes. It feels like a pretty strong ache. So I'm gonna stay a couple breaths and breathe here. I can feel that softening and dissipating, and I feel okay to go on to the next stage where I'm curling my toes and flexing my toes. And you know, I gave you the number 5 or 6 repetitions, but again, how long you stay is dependent on the sensation you're feeling in your feet and your toes. And now I'm going to hold my foot, and my fingers are rotating my toes. And then circling up the other direction. There we go. Thank you, feet, for walking with me at the beach, in the backyard. Patter, patter, patter. All right, we will grab our blanket and move to the floor. And there is an option of working on the chair, so I'll show that. I'm gonna grab a blanket because I do like padding for my feet. And I'm gonna turn it in a long rectangle. You may wanna open it all the way up. So that could be your choice. Moving into a tabletop. Now I know some of you have tender wrists, right? So instead of having your hands on the floor, you want to grab a bolster. So I put that too much of an angle. So either tabletop or your arms, your forearms are on the bolster. All right. So here, tops of the feet press down, and then the toes tuck under. Tops of the feet press down, toes tuck under. So that's 2, and about 4 more. So whether you're in tabletop, breathing, feeling. Yeah, so we're stretching the soles of the feet, the necks of the toes, and the tops of the feet and the ankles. So after about 5 or 6 times, you want your feet on your blanket and patter, patter, patter. Yeah, yum, yum, yum. Okay, so this is one variation. Feel free to stay here in your tabletop. The next variation, you can also rest back in child's pose or move back to the chair. All right, one more variation here. I'm going to stack my knees together, tuck my toes under, and my feet are together. Now, feel free to stay in the tabletop as you spread your toes and walk. The other choice is to walk your hands back. Possibly having your sit bones on your heels. Staying in tabletop or possibly coming up. Taking about 5 breaths or so. You choose. I could barely stay a breath the first time Lavelle introduced this to me. So be kind and compassionate. Once you've taken your 5 breaths, you want to walk forward and make sure that your feet are padded on the blanket. Tap, tap, tap. Feel free to rest back in child's pose. You could also choose, since you have your bolster and blanket, you could put your blanket for underneath your head. Come on to your sit bones. Place your bolster underneath your knees, finding your way onto your back and pausing here and feeling the effects of what's taken place for your feet. So if you chose to work on the floor, if you'll please rest there. For those of you that found it challenging or not quite available to work on the floor in that last variation I gave you, I'm going to move my chair forward so I have the mat. Can you see? I have padding for my feet. To do that same sequence where we are in chair, I have my left leg on the chair. My right leg goes back, so I'm tucking my toes under. Can you see? Yes. So that would be the same variation where folks were in tabletop with their toes tucked under, or where the sit bones were heading towards the heels. So 5 breaths on one side. And then 5 breaths on the other. So then you can choose to do that last sequence in a chair or in tabletop. And whichever variation you choose, take time to take a couple of breaths, whether you chose lying and resting on your back or in a seated chair. Breathing in the changes that have taken place. Feel free to wiggle your toes. Thank you for sharing this time with me and taking time to tend to your feet. Have a lovely afternoon and evening. Look forward to practicing with you soon.